watching the beginning of what proved to be a fantastic performance. The Falcon Mobile Durability Run, 70,000 miles at more than 70 miles an hour. This agony went on for 9 days and 9 nights, more than 200 hours of multiple car torture. 5 vehicles, stopping only for fuel and tires, amassed a mileage equal to 3 times around the world. Yet it was done around a punishing circuit of only... It's very unlikely that anything similar will ever happen again. The very nature of the performance calls for more information. Where and why did it happen? First of all, where? On the slopes of the Yuyang Ranges near Geelong, Victoria, on part of the recently constructed £750,000 proving ground. 1,800 acres devoted to one objective, product quality. This is a place where they make potholes, spoon drain dips, bone-shaking corrugations, jump-ups, where they simulate curbing stones and silent cops, where the camber of the road is deliberately wrong, where powdery bull dust, water and mud are popular. Cars selected at random stay out here for weeks, their every movement planned minutely. They log thousands of miles, subject to regular checking for signs of wear and tear. If there's a component weakness, they'll find it, and it'll be rectified. Confidence ratified here led to a courageous decision, an announcement to the Australian press that 5 stock model Falcon sedans would travel a total of 70,000 miles in 9 days around that 2¼ mile bitumen circuit that was not built for speed. Many experts said it couldn't be done, but confidence and determination go hand in hand. A starting date was set, there would be no turning back. There was no electricity, no water, no phone, no power. But Ford built a small town to house the 100 or so involved. Letters of invitation had assembled 23 drivers from all states. But for most, there was no time for practice laps. Just, there's your uniform, park your bags, get your helmets and stand by. Drivers Rayburn, McLaughlin, Ellis, McPhee and Volkers were on the starting grid, waiting for the 10-second countdown. Ford Managing Director Wallace Booth gives them the start flag. Date, Saturday, April 24th. The time, 8:28 a.m. Ahead, continuous non-stop driving for 9 days and nights. 2 of the cars were 200 cubic inch and 3 Pursuit 170s. Right from the start, number 1 with the bigger engine driven by John Rayburn set sail after the 50-kilometer record. It took the lead and stayed there. First lap, 1:48. Apply that to 2¼ miles and you get 76 miles an hour. This surface durability track was built to test cars at 35 to 40 miles an hour. Straight sections had been deliberately avoided. But it was this fact, the 15 twists and bends plus the big hill, that caused the experts to say that Ford had bitten off more than they could chew. Too great a strain on engine, transmission and suspension. Time would tell. In this kind of event, it's permissible to have a reserve car, but only 5 may be on the track at the one time. The bitumen was laid with sharp local granite, known to be very hard and abrasive. It was impossible to forecast how the tires would stand up, more particularly as the upper bitumen layer wore off. Dunlop SP41 radial ply tires were chosen and inflated to 50 pounds pressure. As the track was not banked, they'd have to withstand the full cornering force. Foxy Firth, always cautious, has both front tires changed at the first pit stop. That adds up to 1 hour 40 minutes for one tire. No time out is allowed for pit stops, so the tension is at fever pitch to get out and get on with the job. The line to one bend could seriously affect lap time, so regular information is vital. The 200 cubic inch automatic number 1 and the manual 170 number 5 have the fastest times. The whole event is being supervised by CAMS, the organization that controls Australian motorsport. No mean effort this. Takes 10 men whom drivers only see at the meal table. Sit here any time and you'd be impressed with the universal harmony, enthusiasm and determination. Refueling was from mobile cans at first, changed later to gravity hoses. Note the visible tread on this rear tire as it's replaced. Plenty there, but a perfect example of the need to play it safe. To save time, wheel changes must coincide with fuel stops. It became obvious that tire wear was a measure of driver skill. In the beginning, some required a new offside front before they wanted petrol. The message was loud and clear. Many more would be wanted. This track is tough. As they found the line and speed through the bends, the squeal eased off and tire life increased several 100%. Estimates of tire life had to be made during continual wet weather. In the dry, the cutting, destructive effect of the abrasive track was greater than anticipated. This made pit stops quicker and longer, which in turn upset the roster. Drivers weren't getting enough time off. There was only one answer. 10 more were flying in from interstate. On the job, you quickly lost all sense of time, and the calendar certainly didn't count. 70 miles an hour is high speed in any language. None of these men, all experienced race drivers, had driven this fast at night. Again, the skeptics forecast that average speeds would have to drop very noticeably at night. But as usual, the men concerned were better than anticipated. They gave the credit to the cars. Certainly, night driving was tougher, but providing they were fresh, these men shared the general confidence and welcomed the challenge. Sleep was the problem. These were not all Ford men. The one common factor was love of motorsport. There was a chemist, 3 policemen, a butcher, grazier, a ladies' hairdresser, but they knew cars and knew what should be expected of them. Many were asking if it was fair to expect any stock model sedan to stand up to it. Something would have to break or snap. As the hours piled up, so did their praise. Caravans don't hold much water. A sluice at midnight found another use for a mobile drum. There was no possibility of one-arm driving, not even time for a smoke. They had to remember the course exactly, and the light stabbing into the black funnel ahead had to give them the exact line to each bend. Relax for a fraction, and you'd lose it. It was cold out there, and the cars weren't heated. They might have got drowsy, particularly as none of them could get more than 3 hours sleep at a time. Dawn, and another problem. For about an hour, you'd be driving flat out into the rising sun. If you leave a tire on too long, you go through the casing ply, let the air out, swerve to control, hit a guidepost, lose your bumper bar, put it in the boot, get round to the pit as fast as you can for a wheel change. Apologetic, but glad you did no more damage. In the first 24 hours, number 1 was driven by only 2 men, Rayburn and Firth. The distance covered in that single day was equivalent of Adelaide to Perth, and at over 70 miles an hour. A tribute to skill, engineering, and endurance. Policemen Sutherland and Mottram take over as the news is transmitted to press, radio, and TV. An incredible challenge had settled down to routine. 27 hours, 3,600 laps, and 8,300 miles. All going well. Even the pit crew had time to relax. Under normal conditions, all is quiet out here on the granite-strewn slopes of the Yuyang Ranges. One of the feared dangers had been an occasional wallaby or rabbit. Now they're less likely as the press helicopter adds its noise to the bedlam of racing engines and screaming tires. In the caravan area, another rude awakening, but the pressure is easing as new drivers arrive, like Bob Jane from Melbourne and Ian Gagan from Sydney, seen here with pit crew boss John Shepherd. Jane won the 1964 Armstrong 500 in front of Seaton and Firth. Now all 3 are part of a team of 32 men, pushing 5 cars to the limit. Not spurred on by laurel leaves or a banker's check. Their sole inspiration, the opportunity to drive fast for long hours, with confidence in both the car and in themselves. Loose metal formed both shoulders of the road. If drivers were a fraction off-line to the next bend, they could spray it. This built up into a hazard for others behind. Solution? Get rid of it. But don't go to sleep on the job.